Welcome back to the deep dive.
Always a pleasure.
Today we're diving into something a little different. It's spicy.
Oh,
Natalia's Diary.
okay.
And let me tell you, it's definitely for adults only.
18 plus.
Yeah. Raw. Personal. In it, Natalia claims she's using her, let's say, charms to bring men over to, well, a more conservative side, politically.
Politically, that's a fascinating case study. It is to get a firsthand account of how one woman is approaching political discourse
Right.
through a very unconventional lens.
Unconventional is putting it mildly. She's talking about seduction, manipulation, maybe even a little brainwashing. Yeah. I have to admit, there's a part of me that's intrigued.
It's important to approach this with a critical eye, of course.
Oh, yeah.
We only have Natalia's perspective in this diary,
Yeah.
so we need to be mindful of potential biases
Of course.
and avoid jumping to conclusions.
Oh, absolutely. But even just skimming through this diary, you can tell she's a smart cookie.
Okay.
She targets men with different backgrounds, different viewpoints,
Yeah.
like Derek, who's black, Miguel, a Cuban man,
Mm-hmm.
Randall, who's biracial,
Right.
and Khalil, who is Persian.
Yeah.
And she tailors her approach to each one.
That's an interesting observation. It does suggest a level of premeditation,
Yes.
a strategy to her actions. She's not just, randomly seducing men.
Mm-hmm.
She's carefully selecting these targets
Yes.
and adapting her tactics accordingly.
Exactly. And let's be honest, it takes a certain kind of confidence to pull this off.
Sure.
To be able to walk into a room and know you can sway someone's entire worldview. That's power.
Power is certainly a key element here. Natalia is exploiting traditional gender roles, male vulnerabilities to gain influence. She's creating a dynamic where she's the dominant figure,
Yeah.
the one holding the cards.
Right.
And these men are willingly submitting to her,
Yes.
both physically and intellectually.
Some might call it manipulative, but I see it as a kind of mastery.
Mastery.
Yeah, she understands what makes these men tick, and she uses that knowledge to her advantage.
Well, let's not romanticize it just yet. There are serious ethical implications to consider.
Oh, sure.
Is it right to influence someone's political beliefs through such intimate means?
Okay, yeah.
What about the potential psychological impact on these men?
I hear you, but come on, they're not being forced into anything.
Right.
They're consenting adults making their own choices.
Are they, though?
Yeah.
When you factor in the power dynamics,
Okay.
the manipulation,
Yeah.
the blurring of lines between pleasure and persuasion.
Okay, maybe it's not all sunshine and roses.
Yeah.
But there's a part of me that can't help but admire her audacity. She's playing the game on hard mode, and she's winning.
Winning is a subjective term in this case. We don't know the long-term consequences of her actions, both for herself and for the men involved.
True, true. But she's definitely shaking things up, wouldn't you say? I mean, who else do you know who's converting liberals to conservatives one seduction at a time?
I'd argue that her methods are less about genuine political conversion
Yeah.
and more about control and manipulation.
Okay. But one thing's for sure. Natalia is a force to be reckoned with. And you know what? I kind of want to meet her. I bet she's got stories for days.
I'm not sure that's a wise idea. Remember, we're talking about a woman who admits to using manipulation
Yeah.
and seduction to achieve her goal.
Oh, relax. I can handle myself. Besides, I think I could learn a thing or two from her. A little bit of that Natalia magic could come in handy, don't you think?
I highly doubt that. And frankly, I'm concerned about your fascination with her.
Come on, it's
Yeah.
harmless fun. Don't tell me you're not at least a little curious about this woman.
Curious, yes, but also deeply troubled by the ethical implications of her actions.
All right, point taken. But let's not lose sight of the fact that this is an incredibly fascinating deep dive. We've got sex, politics, intrigue. What more could you ask for?
I could ask for a healthy dose of critical analysis
Uh-huh.
and a bit less sensationalism.
Okay, fine. We'll try to keep it classy, but no promises. Now, let's dive into some specific examples from Natalia's diary and see just how she operates. For instance, there's this whole Thanksgiving incident with Derek.
Ah, yes, the Thanksgiving incident. That's where things start to take a rather interesting turn.
It does. Buckle up.
So the Thanksgiving incident, Natalia describes Derek as this, woke, liberal activist type. She even mentions he was wearing a Smash the Patriarchy t-shirt at dinner,
Oh, wow.
which she found amusing, given her intentions.
Oh, I bet. I bet she did. It's like she's playing a game, and she's already, She's holding all the aces, like she's already won, basically.
That's precisely the dynamic she cultivates. She
Yeah.
uses her sexuality to kind of disarm him, to make him feel comfortable
Right.
and open to her suggestions.
It's, you have to admit, it's brilliant. I mean, who can resist
Yeah.
a beautiful woman who's showering you with attention and affection? It's like, come on.
It's more complex than that.
Okay.
Natalia is preying on Derek's vulnerabilities. She identifies his desire to be seen as open-minded
Okay.
and progressive,
Sure.
and she uses that to her advantage.
Okay, but isn't that what we all do to some extent?
Uh,
We present ourselves in a way that's appealing to others. We highlight our best qualities. We try to make a good impression. Like, what's the difference?
there's a difference between presenting your best self
Yeah.
and deliberately manipulating someone's beliefs
Okay.
for your own gain.
Okay, fine.
Yeah.
But let's get to the juicy part. What exactly happened on Thanksgiving?
Well, according to Natalia's diary, she and Derek ended up alone in the living room after dinner.
Uh-huh.
She initiates a conversation about politics,
Okay.
specifically targeting topics she knew he felt strongly about. She played the role of the curious student, asking him to explain his views, all the while subtly planting seeds of doubt and introducing alternative perspectives.
She's like educating him, broadening his horizons.
It's not education, it's indoctrination.
Okay.
She's leading him down a carefully constructed path, using flattery and seduction to make him more receptive to her ideas.
Okay, but it's working, right?
Yeah.
I mean, she eventually convinced him to watch, like, conservative videos with her.
Yes, by offering him sexual favors in return. She even explicitly states in her diary that she knew he couldn't resist the offer, especially coming from someone he found attractive.
Well, he's only human. Besides, maybe he actually found those conservative videos interesting, you know?
Yeah,
Maybe she, like, opened his mind to a new way of thinking.
that's highly unlikely.
Oh, come on.
This isn't about genuine intellectual curiosity or open-minded debate. It's about coercion
Okay.
and manipulation. She's using sex as a bargaining chip, as a way to control his behavior
Yeah.
and ultimately his beliefs.
You're making her sound like some kind of evil mastermind.
I'm simply analyzing her actions based on the evidence presented in her own diary, and frankly, it's disturbing. She's taking advantage of someone's trust
Yeah.
and vulnerability
Yeah.
for her own political agenda.
Okay. Maybe. Or maybe she's just, like, a passionate woman who's not afraid to use her assets to get what she wants.
That's a dangerous oversimplification. We can't condone manipulation and coercion,
Sure.
no matter how attractive the manipulator might be.
Okay. All right. I get it. You think she's, like, a bad person.
Yeah.
But I'm still fascinated by her.
Okay.
She's bold.
Sure.
She's confident.
Right.
And she knows how to get results.
Results achieved through deception and manipulation are hardly something to admire.
Maybe you're just jealous.
Yeah.
Admit it, you wouldn't mind having a little bit of that Natalia charm yourself.
This isn't about personal attraction. It's about recognizing and condemning harmful behavior.
Okay, fine. We'll agree to disagree. But let's move on to the next target on Natalia's list. Who's after Derek?
Next, we have Miguel, a Cuban man with strong liberal leanings.
Oh, this should be good. I bet she really had to work her magic on him.
Indeed, Natalia describes him as being initially resistant to her advances, both physical and intellectual.
So how did she break him?
She used a combination of flattery, persistence, and a strategic appeal to his cultural background.
Cultural background. How did that play into it?
She focused on issues related to family values and tradition, knowing that these held particular significance for Miguel. She presented conservative viewpoints as being aligned with these values, subtly suggesting that his liberal beliefs were somehow at odds with his Cuban heritage.
Clever girl. She's really doing her research.
It's more than research. It's manipulation.
Okay.
She's exploiting his cultural identity to create a false sense of conflict,
Right.
and then positioning herself as the solution.
But it's working. Right. I mean, she's getting these men to question their beliefs, to see things from a different perspective. Isn't that a good thing?
Not when it's done through deception and coercion.
Okay.
These men aren't arriving at these new viewpoints through genuine intellectual exploration.
Okay.
They're being manipulated into adopting them.
You know, you're really starting to sound like one of those guys Natalia converts. All doom and gloom, no fun allowed. Lighten up a little.
This isn't a laughing matter. We're talking about the erosion of trust,
Yeah.
the manipulation of personal beliefs,
Okay.
and the potential for long-term psychological harm.
Okay. I get it. You think Natalia's the devil incarnate.
Yeah.
But I'm still holding out hope that Like, deep down, she's just like a misunderstood romantic who wants to share her worldview with the world.
I sincerely doubt that. Her actions speak for themselves.
Well, her actions also speak to me, and they're saying, call me. I'm waiting.
You're actually considering contacting her after everything we've discussed.
What can I say? I'm a sucker for a challenge. Besides, maybe I can be the one to break her.
Oh.
Convert her back to the liberal side, turn the tables.
I highly advise against that. You're playing with fire.
Oh, I love playing with fire. And who knows, maybe she can teach me a few of her tricks. I could be the ultimate political influencer.
I'm starting to regret agreeing to this deep dive.
Relax, I'm just teasing, mostly. But seriously, let's get back to Miguel. How does his story end? Does he succumb to Natalia's charms?
That's where things get even more complicated. Natalia describes Miguel as being torn between his attraction to her and his discomfort with her methods.
Oh.
He recognizes that he's being manipulated,
Right.
but he's also drawn to the power dynamic she's established.
Oh, I bet he is. It's that bad boy appeal,
Yeah.
The thrill of the forbidden. Ooh.
It's not about thrill-seeking.
Oh.
It's about psychological vulnerability.
Okay.
Natalia is preying on his insecurities, his desire for approval,
Mm-hmm.
and his deep-seated need for connection.
All right. I get it. You're worried about him. But let's be honest. A little bit of manipulation never hurt anyone. It's all part of the game of love, isn't it?
Love. This has nothing to do with love. It's about power, control, and the erosion of personal autonomy.
Whoa, whoa, whoa. Okay. You're getting a little intense there.
This is serious.
Maybe you need to loosen up a bit. Take a page out of Natalia's book.
I think I'll pass.
Okay.
And I suggest you do the same.
Fine. Fine. But enough about Miguel's emotional turmoil. Let's move on to the next conquest. Who's next on Natalia's hit list?
Randall, who Natalia describes as biracial
Mm-hmm.
and politically ambivalent.
Ooh, a blank slate. I bet she had a field day with him.
That's a rather callous way to put it.
Okay, sorry.
Randall represents a different kind of challenge for Natalia.
Okay.
He's not firmly entrenched in any particular ideology,
Right.
which makes him both more susceptible to her influence
Uh-huh.
and potentially more difficult to control.
Oh, so sounds like a recipe for disaster.
Potentially.
Or maybe some seriously hot political debates in the bedroom.
I'm starting to think you're not taking any of this seriously.
Okay. I'll try to tone it down. But you have to admit, Natalia's story is captivating.
Mhm.
It's like a real-life thriller with a dash of political intrigue.
It's a cautionary tale, not entertainment.
Okay.
And I'm concerned that you're missing the point entirely.
All right, Professor. Let's just get back to Randall
Okay.
and see how he fares in Natalia's web of seduction.
Fine. But promise me you'll try to engage with this material on a deeper level.
No promises.
Hmm.
But I will try to keep my Natalia fantasies to myself.
Yeah.
For now. So Randall, he's kind of wild card, right?
You could say that.
Natalia describes him as politically ambivalent, like not really leaning one way or the other.
Yeah.
Makes you wonder, did she see him as like a blank slate?
Yeah.
Someone she could completely mold.
It's possible. Natalia describes Randall as being intellectually curious, but also easily swayed by strong personalities.
Yeah.
She saw this as both a challenge and an opportunity.
I bet. It's like she's an artist.
An artist.
Yeah. And these men are her canvases.
Yeah.
She gets to paint her worldview all over them.
That's a disturbing analogy.
Okay, sorry.
I think it's important to remember we're talking about real people here,
Right.
not objects to be manipulated.
No. Okay. I get it. But you have to admit, there's a certain, artistry to what she's doing. She's not just, sleeking with these guys. She's engaging with them intellectually, challenging their beliefs, making them think.
She's doing it through deception and coercion. She's using their attraction to her as leverage to push her own agenda.
Right.
It's a violation of trust, plain and simple.
Okay.
Hmm.
Maybe not. But let's get back to Randall. How does Natalia approach him? Does she use the same tactics as with Derek and Miguel?
She adapts her approach, recognizing that Randall requires a different kind of strategy. She plays the role of the intellectual equal, engaging him in debates, introducing him to conservative thinkers, and subtly framing her viewpoints as being more sophisticated and nuanced than his own.
See, she's not just a pretty face. She's got brains, too.
Intelligence used for manipulation is hardly something to celebrate.
Okay, fine. But it's working, right? I mean, she's getting Randall to question his beliefs, to see things from a different perspective.
She's doing it by creating a false sense of intimacy and trust. She's using their sexual relationship as a way to, bypass his critical thinking skills, make him more receptive to her ideas.
Okay, I'm sensing a pattern here. You're not a big fan of Natalia's methods.
I find them deeply unethical and potentially harmful.
Right. But what's the results?
Mm.
I mean, if she's successfully, converting these men to conservatism, isn't she achieving her goals?
Her goals are achieved through manipulation and deception. These men aren't arriving at these new viewpoints through genuine intellectual exploration. They're being coerced into adopting them.
You're really starting to bum me out. Can't we just, appreciate the ingenuity of her approach, the boldness of her actions?
I can't condone manipulation,
Right.
no matter how cleverly disguised it might be.
Okay, okay. Enough about Randall. Let's move on to the final player in this game of political seduction, Khalil.
He's Persian, right? I bet he brought a whole new set of cultural dynamics to the table. Indeed. Natalia describes Khalil as being very proud of his Persian heritage, and she uses this to her advantage.
How so? Did she, start learning Farsi? Cooking him traditional Persian dishes?
She focused on issues related to family values and tradition, similar to her approach with Miguel. However, she also played on his sense of cultural pride by suggesting that conservative values were more aligned with traditional Persian culture than liberal ones.
Clever girl. She's really tailoring her approach to each man's specific background and vulnerabilities.
It's a calculated form of manipulation. She's preying on their desire to feel connected to their cultural heritage, and she's using that to push her own political agenda.
But maybe she genuinely believes in what she's doing. Maybe she sees it as a form of, cultural enlightenment, sharing her worldview with these men.
Her diary entries suggest otherwise. She clearly enjoys the power dynamic she's created, the thrill of manipulating these men into adopting her beliefs.
Well, you can't deny that she's effective. She's getting results. Maybe the ends justify the means in this case.
I strongly disagree. Manipulation is never justifiable, no matter the outcome. These men are being robbed of their autonomy, their right to form their own beliefs without coercion.
Okay, I get it. You're worried about the ethical implications. But can we just take a moment to appreciate Natalia's confidence? Her audacity. I mean, she's playing the game of seduction and persuasion at, a master level.
It's a dangerous game, and I'm concerned that you're romanticizing her behavior.
Maybe I am. But there's a part of me that can't help but admire her. She's a force of nature.
A destructive force.
Maybe. Or maybe she's just a woman who knows what she wants and isn't afraid to go after it.
What she wants is control, and she's achieving it through manipulation and deception.
Well, whatever you think of her methods, you can't deny that Natalia's story is compelling. It raises all sorts of questions about the nature of persuasion, the role of sexuality in politics, and the ethical boundaries of personal relationships.
It's a cautionary tale, a reminder that we need to be critical thinkers, to question motives, and to safeguard our own autonomy.
Well said. And on that note, I think it's time to wrap up this deep dive.
Indeed. And I hope our listeners will take this conversation as a starting point for further reflection on the complex issues of manipulation, persuasion, and the ethics of personal relationships.
Couldn't have said it better myself. So, until next time, stay curious, stay informed, and stay vigilant. You never know who might be trying to seduce you into changing your worldview.
And remember, critical thinking is your best defense.
That's our show for today, folks. We'll see you next time on The Deep Dive.